How y'all doing today? In this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about guardrails. Now, it's a phrase that I coined for myself. I don't know if others use it or not. Some people do, some people don't. I don't know. And to be honest with you, as long as it works for me, it works for me. But the type of guardrails I'm talking about are things that you put in your way intentionally to stop you from drinking, or to maybe stop you from having cravings. I know when I first got out of the hospital after the 6 days of treatment, let me backstep that. When I went through the hospital the first time for the 30 days, and I helped everyone else get sober except for myself, and then I went out, and within 7 or 8 days, I was back to drinking full time because I'd got out of the hospital. And I remember going to a meeting at the end of the hospital thing, during that 30-day stint. The day after I got out of the hospital, I had went to a meeting. And a lot stuck in my mind when I went to that meeting. I had this thought, maybe I shouldn't be here. There's a lot of people here. And I never really had thought about it in that setting with that many people. But the whole thought in my mind was, Lord, I can't wait till I get out of here. Because I actually stopped on the way home back to my apartment that day and got me some beer, got me a 6-pack of beer and took it home with me. And I never even went back to an AA meeting. Not during that time anyway. And that's how quickly that I had relapsed. That quick. Because when I went through the first time, with me, my recovery is a lot about honesty. And to be honest with you, that's probably why I don't have any friends, because it seems like the world more and more is turned towards not so much honesty, but a twisted version of honesty. Because I'm a straightforward black and white person, and everything to me is in black and white. It's either good or it's either bad. With me, I don't care much for playing in the gray areas, because for my recovery, I have to be completely honest with myself and with others. And that's something that, once you turn your life back, surrender your life back to Jesus Christ, or surrender him to Jesus Christ, whichever is appropriate, you realize, I know whenever I was on my knees at the bed on that second time, something kept coming to me after I had got done praying, and it was the word honesty. So it was at that point I knew honesty had to be part of my recovery, and it had to be a major part of my recovery. And as it turned out, it was a humongous point of my recovery. I've even made enemies because of my honesty, and I can't help that. I mean, if I'm just being honest, and a lot of people can't handle the honest truth, or it's not that they can't. Maybe it's not that they can't handle it. It's just they don't want to hear it, and because it interferes with their thought processes, or it interferes with their plans, because and then maybe their plans are not correct to begin with. But either way, as I'm being honest going through my life, I'm trying to be honest, but as I'm being honest, it actually turns people away, which is fine. I'm still sober. I'm going to stay sober. I don't have any stinking drinking thinking. I'm still keeping it simple, stupid. I'm still taking it one day at a time, and I'm going to continue doing those things one day at a time. But when I come out of the hospital, I set up many guardrails, and it really didn't come to light until in the past several months. I've sat and thought about all the different ways that I have stayed sober, and the ways that I had incorporated since I let the Lord do the driving again. A Bible on my table at home. My main guardrail is Jesus Christ. That's my first and foremost guardrail. My wife is another guardrail, because I love my wife. I would give my life for hers. because she has stood by me through all of this, through the whole 35 years. Well, actually before I even got sober. And she is my living angel. And, people say that, well, I had done a photo with my wife with the angel wings, and I got a couple of comments, well, angels don't have wings, and that just goes to show you my mind works different than a lot of people's. For me, my wife, she is my angel, because the Lord placed her in my path for a reason, and we met for a reason, and we got married for a reason, and we have a daughter for a reason. Everything, nothing is coincidental with the Lord. I believe the Lord is it's like moving pieces of the puzzle around. You're trying to figure out this 1,000-piece puzzle. Well, okay, this one here don't fit. It doesn't go there. So the Lord is trying to piece me back together to be more productive for Him, and to be a good person overall, because He wants me ready for heaven whenever the time comes. And He's working on me, and I'm a work in progress, and I always will be a work in progress up until the time He calls me home. But when it comes to the guardrails, back before I quit drinking, I used to fish a lot. I haven't picked up a fishing pole in a long time. I went fishing here several years ago with my sister, and I was good with it. I didn't have any problem doing the fishing, but I didn't feel comfortable with it because I associated fishing with drinking. And so anything in my life that I had associated with drinking, which was virtually everything, including listening to rock and roll music and going to sports events and watching football on television and all of that, I got rid of all of that, because when I got up off my knees that night and turned my life over to Christ, from that point on, I was going to do everything possible to keep my sobriety. And a lot of people, I've seen different comments on Facebook, how far would you go to protect your sobriety? I will go to the ends of the earth to protect my sobriety. And when I quit drinking, I didn't quit drinking for my wife. I didn't quit drinking for my children. I quit drinking for Larry Clark. And that's just the way that I wanted it to be. Because I have to quit drinking for me, because if the Lord takes my wife, or if the Lord takes my children, I'm still here. And I've got the Lord Jesus Christ in my heart, and between me and Him, I'm going to keep my sobriety regardless. So I immediately started throwing up guardrails, and a lot of the guardrails that I threw up, I didn't realize they was guardrails until the past several weeks. And the more I think about it, the more I thought, wow, I put some, when I come out of the hospital, they offered me antabuse tablets. And basically what antabuse, I believe that's called antabuse. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a podcaster. I'm just a man that works for a living, and I'm just putting this out there so that maybe it'll help somebody. I hope and pray that it does help somebody, because the Lord's having me do this for a reason, and I'm not going to stop. But anyway, back to the antabuse. They had offered me a prescription of antabuse, and I said, yes, I'll take the antabuse. That was another guardrail. And I was just throwing guardrails up everywhere. And when I got home, the Bible, I made sure it was on the coffee table. I made sure it was out in clear view. That was another guardrail. I've got all kinds of guardrails around me. And then I've got the slogans, that we was using in AA. We got one day at a time. Live and let live. Keep it simple. Those are guardrails in my mind. I put up guardrails in my mind around a lot of things also. I have built this guardrail system that is, I don't know, for me, in my perspective, it helps me immensely, because I'm always reminded, no matter which way I turn, I'm always reminded, you got to stay sober today. And don't think that I don't have cravings. I'm 35 years sober, but I still have issues when it comes to cravings. I had a craving the other day. I looked at a billboard and had a big Bud Light can with ice flowing off of it, popping up out of a cooler. And I thought, wow, that looks really good. But then I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, take this from me. And immediately, within seconds later, I thought no more about it. The Lord helps me stay sober because I completely surrendered my life to Him, and I'm following Him, and I'm letting Him do the driving. And I would suggest anyone that gets sober to do the same thing. Throw guardrails up in front of you. Call them guardrails, call them whatever you want to call them. Call them backstops or whatever you want to call it, whatever term you want to use. I use guardrails because it just sounds cool, and I've been driving for many, many years, and it fits. It fits my situation. But anyway, if you like this episode, you can comment, hit like, subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. It would help. And also, if you need to email me, you can email me at 35yearskept@gmail.com. Thank you, and God bless.